They say, if you don't design your life plan, chances are you will fall into someone else's plan, and guess what they have planned for you? Not much. This message comes to inspire, to motivate, and encourage you to discover your God-given potential and plan your life so you can live the life of your dreams. And now, here is Faith.
It's a wonderful day to be alive, to be happy, despite the challenges that many of the countries have encountered with the coronavirus. We are happy to be alive. We are happy that God has kept us, has provided for us. He has taken us through this season, and we sympathize with those that have lost their loved ones. I've had stories of people I know that have lost their family members that were not here in Uganda, were in other countries, and we are praying for everyone that has lost somebody, that God may be your source of comfort, and you find refuge in Him, because in Him alone is the strength that we need to go through life's challenges. We are delighted to be back here with a word to encourage you, to motivate you, to inspire you and lift you up. My name is Faith Nasali ANGUZU, and I am happy to bring this word to you. I am happy that God can use me during this time to share a word to encourage you and help you through maybe a challenge that you may be going through right now. Thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you so much for sending us encouragement, for cheering us on, for pushing us in this with this mandate that God has given us, that we may be able to also encourage the rest of the world as they listen to us. And today I would like to speak to you about sticking with your goals, sticking with your goals. I know when the year began in January, we all had this picture of how 2020 will go. I mean, we usually don't envision that things will go bad, but you know how life can be. Sometimes things are thrown in your face when you least expect them to come your way, but you still have to move on. You still have to get up and keep going. So today I want to speak to you about committing to your goals, regardless of the derailment that we've all had to encounter, the challenges that have set us back. You know, some of us have not been working since March 20th. You know, but still we are looking at fulfilling our goals because we are hopeful. We know that before we know it, the curfew will be lifted and the lockdown will be lifted and we'll be back to work. And even if we don't get back to the normal way we were working, we are still going to be working on our goals. We are still going to be working on our dreams. I was listening to a man of God, and he was talking about how people in life are always giving either reason or results. A reason for not doing something, or results given, results delivered because you have been given an assignment or because you have a commitment to deliver on something. And you know, reasons really never count. And if you doubt that, you can go to the Bible and see various stories where Jesus was having a discussion, a dialogue with certain people, and they were giving him reasons for not being a certain way, like the man at the pool of Bethsaida, when he was asking him, do you really want to get well? Because this man had been at this pool for 38 long years. And Jesus asked him, but do you really want to be well? And the man, of course, was giving him reasons, and Jesus did not listen to the reasons. He just told him, you know what, get up and walk, because he knew that he had the potential to walk again. And today I would like to just look at the story of the parable of talents. I love that story so much because it has so many things in there to teach us about commitment to goals and many other things. And today I would like to look at how God has given each one of us gifts, talents. He has put a lot in us despite the challenges that we may encounter. And the story of the parable of talents, for reference, is in Matthew chapter 25 from verse 14. And the story, I will just quickly just take you through it. Jesus gives this parable that a certain man was going away on a let's say business trip, and he had talents that he wanted to give to the servants that were staying behind, and he needed each one of them to do something with what he had given them. So to one he gave 5, to another he gave 2, and then to another guy he gave him 1 according to their ability. The scripture is very clear that he gave them according to their ability, because God knows that not all of us can be for example, Gola Moses. We cannot all do kickboxing, not all of us can be race car drivers, not all of us can be the best doctor in the world. All of us have different abilities, different skills. So God, in this context, in this parable, Jesus says that this man who was going away on a business trip gave talents according to the abilities of these men. So when he was long gone and these guys had stayed behind, they each did something different to the talents that he gave them, which showed a level of commitment. When he came back, of course, he required these people to come back and show him the books of accounts. What did they do with the talents that he gave them? And of course, the one who had been given 5 talents, he was able to say, I went and did business and I brought back and I was able to get 5 talents. Then the one who was given 2 also said, I traded and I got 2 more talents. And the one that was given 1, he said he had reasons to give. He did not have results, basically. He had reasons and excuses that you're a harsh man, you're very hard. So I knew you want to reap where you've not sowed. So I decided to go and bury your talent, so that when you come back, I give it to you the way you gave it to me, without any loss. And the man, and in fact, Jesus, when you look at the Amplified translation for that particular scripture, the Bible doesn't have kind words. This master didn't have kind words for this guy who was given 1 talent. He says in verse 26, but his master answered him, you wicked and lazy and idle servant. Wicked, lazy and idle. Because this guy did not have a commitment to go and invest his master's money in the bank. In fact, he said at least you'd have put it in the bank, because they're in the bank, the bankers would have got the money and worked on my behalf by lending it to other people, and I earn an interest on it. So this guy was not committed to the talent, to the goals that the servant had given him, because it's like they were given in normal language, like sales goals. For example, I've done sales before, and you're given targets. You're told, for example, if you're selling airtime, like on Spirit FM here, maybe you're told but in 1 month you should bring in, say, 200 million shillings, for example. Then another person is told to bring in maybe 100 million, depending on the business that you're in. But this guy, the target he was given was just 1 talent, with which, in fact, if he had exerted energy and maybe showed that he was working, could possibly have worked harder than the other guys and brought in more than them, because it's possible to have less and get more than those who have more. But in fact, he proved the master right when he didn't do anything with his talent, and he just buried it in the ground. So I want to encourage you this evening to have a commitment to your goals, despite the challenges that we are in. I know probably your goals have to do with something that you have to go out there and do. Maybe your goals have to do with something that you have to interact with people, and right now you're not able to do it. But I believe that you can find a way of still doing it. I believe you can find a way. Your goals may be related to maybe finances. God can give you new ideas. God can give you new opportunities to make money. If your goals are related to health, and I remember the president told us like about 2-3 weeks ago that we shouldn't go out because people were running on the streets, and like the whole purpose of us not mixing was being defeated by people jogging together. And he was like, no, you can jog in your house, meaning there was another way we could do it. So whatever your goal may be, you can still work around it if you pray about it. If you pray about it, you're able to get yourself to do something about it, so that when we are now able to do business as we used to do it, or when the lockdown and the curfews are lifted, you will not be in negative like someone who has not been doing anything about it. So I want to encourage you. What you do shows the level of commitment you have towards your goals. The man at the pool of Bethsaida, because he didn't do anything, it showed he didn't have any commitment to him being healed, because he had only excuses, he had only reasons. He said, every time I want to jump in, another person jumps in. And I've always thought this man probably could have thought, let me just sit at the edge of this pool and let everything find me there, so that I don't miss the opportunity of my healing coming when the angel comes and stirs the water. He could have sat at the edge of the pool and said, I am going to sit here. Whatever happens, let it shine on me, let it rain on me, but I am committed to my healing. I am committed to getting myself out of this place. But because he could not think of various ways of how this miracle could come to him, all he had was reasons. He did not have any actions to back up his commitment to be healed, to get out of that place that he had been in for 38 long years. And I know it's easy to say, okay, now we have this situation that has happened to all of us, the coronavirus, and therefore, I'm not able to achieve my dreams because I'm at home, I can't do anything. But I can tell you that with every change in this environment we live in on this earth, there comes opportunities. There are threats, yes, but there also comes there are opportunities that come. Whether it is a change that has disrupted the environment in a negative way, there will be opportunities for people who are able to scan and see where they can find those opportunities. You should be able to find those opportunities if you are willing, if you're committed to your goals, if you're committed to seeing that you achieve the goals that you set out to achieve. You should not be defeated. You should not allow yourself to sit in a defeated corner and say, because this has happened, therefore I can't do anything. I'm thinking of these guys, the guys with 5 talents and 2 talents. Chances are these guys also faced hardship out there as they were investing the master's money. I don't think they had it all easy. They went and maybe bought chunks of land and planted fields of corn or matoke, and they were able to reap a harvest, and then they brought back the money to the master and said, okay, you gave me 5 talents, here is their 5 talent extra. I believe, because I know that is what life is all about, there are challenges all over. These guys must have gone through challenges to get that 5 talent extra that the one who was given 5 talent got, and the other one who was given 2 talents. Each one of them, I am very sure, had challenges. They also had hardships. Maybe if it was agriculture they had invested the money in, probably there were pests, probably they had to irrigate, and maybe it was a dry ground. They went through some sort of difficulty, but because they were committed to this dream, to this goal, to this target that the master had given them, they were able to come back and say, you gave me 5, this is the 5 extra that I brought after investing your 5 talents in some business. So I am calling upon you not to sit back and say, things have jammed, we are all now stuck. You cannot just sit back and say we are stuck. You cannot be stuck. You can only be stuck, and God forbid, when you have been put in that coffin and down under 6 feet. That is only when you say, now here I am just waiting for resurrection. But for as long as you are alive, for as long as you have breath in your lungs, for as long as you can speak, for as long as you can think, for as long as your limbs are moving, you can never be stuck. You can never be stuck at home. Imagine if you have a family at home and they've said no moving with cars, and you have legs to move and you don't feed your family. What level of commitment do you show to your children if you have the money to buy food and then you can't move, and you decide not to move, you decide not to walk? I mean, I've walked before this whole lockdown thing. When I was growing up, we stayed I think about 6 kilometers away from the school I went to in my P3 up to P5. It was a long distance, but we had to walk that distance every day, morning and evening. There was no excuse for not going to school. Whether it rained or shined, whatever happened, we had to go to school. So when this whole lockdown thing came and you can't drive out, but you have to get stuff, you have to eat, you have to buy stuff, I was like, okay, I think I've done this before, and there should be no excuse for me not to get out, because there are people who are depending on me to do some things that require me to go out and get them done. So I said, put the laziness aside, forget about, I can't drive, forget about you don't have a bike, just go out and walk. You will not die. Of course, the first days were hard, you're sweating, you're panting, but as time goes on, you just pick it up, and it's easy for you to do. So I am calling upon you people, please don't give up on your goals. Please don't put your dreams aside and say, okay, let's wait until the lockdown is lifted. What if it never gets lifted? What will happen? What if we are going to live like this for another maybe 2 years, maybe 6 months? I don't know what's going to happen. But what if it takes longer than we thought? Because all of us didn't think that it was going to go as long as it has now gone. We didn't know that it's going to take maybe even a month. We thought it was a joke. It was like, it's easy, let's just wait it out, maybe a few weeks. But it went into a month and extra weeks. So what do? Do you just give up? Do you just say, okay, life has happened and I'm not going to move on? You have to keep going. I when I'm driving, well, of course right now we are walking, but when I'm driving, I just think about life. How, you expect to drive on a straight road, no corners, no humps, nothing. But life is not like that. You're going to find, in our country, for example, Uganda, there will be borders, distractions on the side. There will be pedestrians that you have to watch out for. You cannot just knock people simply because you have right of way. There are humps, there are potholes, it's on some roads, there are bends, there are places that have steep bends, there are some places that have sharp corners, and you have to watch out for all these. And that is how life is. None of us okay, there were prophetic words, I believe people probably who saw this, but none of us imagined that it would be as bad as it has turned out to be, in terms of schools not open, churches not open, all of us at one point at homes and don't get out, and if you get out you have to have gloves on, you have to have masks on, none of us envisioned this. But life has to go on. Life has to go on somewhere or the other because of our commitment. Because of our commitments to the things around us, to the people around us. Yes, we are committed to our families, we are committed to, our organizations. But there are these goals that you have as an individual, you the person I'm talking to right now, the goals that you wrote down in your journal, the goals that you put on your vision board, the things that you're believing God to do, the things that you're asking God to, the breakthroughs that you're believing God for. And sometimes the goals may look like something that I have to do work, for example, about. But sometimes it's just a matter of you speaking, just a matter of you praying about it, just a matter of you just continuing to declare, to speak to those dreams, to speak to those goals. Because not everything is for working. Some of these things are for believing God. Like if you're believing God for a loved one to be born again, the work may be in how you relate with them. But you also have to keep on in prayer, speaking to God, interceding for them. And it is easy to get lazy and give up when you get challenges along the way, and you see maybe the miracle is not coming through, the breakthrough is not coming through, the change is not happening because of the challenges in the environment, because of the challenges around the world, and you give up. But I'm calling upon you people to not give up, to stay committed to your goals, to stay committed to the things that you want God to do for you in this year. There are so many people out there with so many dreams, goals unachieved, and some of them have been hampered. We've been deterred, we've been held back probably by the things that have happened in the world. But I want to encourage you to step forward and say you can do it. Step forward and say you still believe in God. Step forward and still believe that it can happen. That will show your level of commitment and not just reasons at the end of the year. Many people will be saying, oh, coronavirus happened, therefore I wasn't able to do this. There will be many people with reasons like that. But don't be among the people who will say, because of Corona, I didn't do this. Let it be, because of Corona, I was able to even go far beyond what I thought I would achieve, because I believe many businesses have been born out of this pandemic. Many people have seen opportunities. Many people have seen things happen. I'll give you an example. I like to read. I like to, equip myself with knowledge and, learn something new every day. But because of this lockdown, a friend of mine who I've hosted on the program before, in fact, he was on last week, he came up with the idea of having a book club. We read a book, and once a week, we go through the books we've been reading, we review them, we share with the other members on the team, and we keep learning from each other. Now, this is something that I wasn't able to do before the lockdown because of the schedules. You have all this to do. You have to go to work. You have to go teach. You have to go, do many things. So you don't have the time. But now all the time has been handed to you. You have no excuse. All the time has been handed to you. So if your goal was in personal development, and before the lockdown, before Corona, you didn't have much time to improve on your skills. You didn't have much time to read an extra book. You were trying to squeeze all these things in the 24 hours that everything is competing for in your life. But now that time has been handed to you, given to you, and you've been told, here you are. All this is time for you to find something to do. So I found myself getting extra time to read. And in the few weeks that we've been doing this, the book reviews, oh my goodness, I have come to know of many different authors, because everyone is reading a different book and everyone is sharing from different stories. And you're learning, you're gaining knowledge. So I cannot say that because there was a lockdown, therefore I cannot achieve this goal. I've actually gone past what I wanted to achieve by the end of the year, because now someone has an idea to bring us together to read books and review the books. That shows a level of commitment to a goal. That shows a level of commitment to what you want God to do in your life. Because wherever you're going to go, you're going to require knowledge. You're going to require new knowledge, understanding. You're going to get, you have to have skills, So if you sit back and say, because these things have happened, therefore let us wait it out and then we'll go back to normal. In this time, do something that shows your commitment to your goals. If you wanted to get you're believing God, for example, to get a promotion at your work, maybe improve your skill. I hope you've been doing it. I just pray. I believe you people have been listening to us so long that you're doing this thing. But for someone out there who probably had given up, I want to speak encouragement into your spirit, that you do something about your goals. Do something about your goals. Do something, learn something new. If you're not able to get a promotion now, because companies are now cutting back on expenditure, they are reducing staff, learn a new skill so that you are able to justify why you should be even promoted, regardless of what's happening in the environment. Learn a new skill. Add to the knowledge that you have. Add to the knowledge that you have. You can never have enough. You can never have enough knowledge. There is a gentleman, I was at a book launch sometime back, so many years ago. And the guest of honor who was invited for this book launch had, I don't even remember, but over 20 qualifications, like 2 PhDs, 5 masters, I don't know how many undergraduate degrees, and so many certificates. And this was someone who was not more than 45 years old. I was like, how was he able to do this? Of course, there are extremes in everything, but the fact that he kept on learning something, simply because you're qualified in medicine does not mean that you cannot learn something in marketing. Because you're qualified in marketing does not mean that you can't learn something in, for example, law. You can read. You can read about the laws that govern this country. You can read about, different things that you can use in your life to earn more money, to help other people, to live your dreams. And all this goes into showing how committed you are to your dreams. How you spend your time. How you spend your time is going to show how you are committed to your dreams. Commitment shows up by your actions. Commitment shows up by your actions. Whether you are lazy or idle, like that man that Jesus refers to in that parable, that the master said, you are lazy and idle. You had nothing to do. Oh my goodness, I just pray that when this lockdown ends, I pray that no one will be empty with nothing to present. Imagine if there was a master who is coming at the end of the lockdown to ask each one of us, what did you do during this time? I pray that you will not be the person who will say, I had nothing, I did nothing. I pray that you will not be that person that will say, I only slept, I was only on social media, I was only keeping up with the statistics. I know, there is an overwhelming avalanche of information out there. You cannot get it all. Even if you tried, you can listen to CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, and each one of them has a different angle to a story, and you'll not exhaust it. And even if you did, to what end? Unless that is where your work is. But I pray that at the end of this situation, when you look back at the extra days you've had, for those of you who have been home, who have not been working, because I believe the nurses and doctors have been working. But for those of you who have had this time to stay home, I pray that you look back and say, I was able to contribute this to my goals. I was able to do this. I was able to add value to my goals in this way. Maybe I read. Maybe your goals are health related and you've been struggling with your weight. I hope at the end of this season in this country, in the world, you will not say, I added on more weight. I know it feels so bad. You even feel guilty. But I pray that God, that you feel in your heart the need to do something with your time. A commitment towards your goals, a commitment towards your dreams, a commitment to something that, it helps another person. And it's not just about you. It's not just about what you need to do for yourself. That is selfish. But something for somebody else. Something for another community. It may not necessarily be only about you, but somebody else. When we come out of this season, may there be something that you're able to say, when we started, whichever day your lockdown started, I didn't have this. But by the end, I was able to, you have results. I was able to read, say, 50 books. I was able to write a book. I was able to lose these kilos. I was able to to help somebody out. I was able to feed 10 families, whatever it may be. But I pray that there is some action that you're doing right now that shows a commitment to your goals, a commitment to your dreams, a commitment to showing love, the love of God to other people. Because at the end of the day, this is not just about us. We work, we talk about wealth, we talk about creating money, earning money and making wealth and all these things. But it is not about us. It is not about just fulfilling our own desires. It's about how we use these things to serve other people, how we use these things to serve humanity, how we use these things. For example, when you're healthy, when you're not in that state of overweight and not fit, you're able to do the work of the Lord. If God says, I want you to walk from Chaliwajala to, for example, Chira, and go minister to a certain family, you will not be panting. It will honor God when you're able to go fit, walking and energetic and being able to do the work of the Lord. So regardless of what you're working on, it is not about you. It's about the grand picture of what we are all doing for the kingdom of God. It's that grand picture that we are all, that puzzle that we are filling in. There is a piece I have, there is a piece that another person has, there's another piece that my mom has, my uncle, my aunt, my nieces. Each one of us has a piece. But let us work towards having our pieces in their place, so that when this life is over, we can look back and say, wow, that is a good picture. It looks beautiful. It looks beautiful. Paul said that, I don't recall the book, but he says that I've run the race, I fought a good fight of faith. Paul was working. Paul had so many challenges from the time that the master called him to go and minister to the Gentiles. He had challenges with his own brethren who had already seen Jesus. Some of them felt like, no, you're not part of us. He had challenges with his people he used to work with to persecute the church, the Pharisees. He had challenges all over. But Paul never stopped working. He never stopped working through the shipwrecks, through the disasters that were happening, the flogging, the what. Paul was still going. He was still moving. He was still committed